Hey wrestling fans, it's Sean from the Scumbags of Wrestling. Have you checked out our latest t-shirt design? It's inspired by our friends over at London Comic Con. Nigel Lewis of NCL Studios came up with this amazing design of a comic book cover. It features 22 stars of the Ontario independent wrestling scene, including Cody Deaner, Jody Threat, Casey Spinelli, Tyson Dukes, Brent Banks, Tarek, Sebastian Suave, Halal Beefcake, graduates of the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, and many more. You can get your t-shirt for just $30 or buy the poster for $15. Proceeds from this sale are going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. Steven's an 8-year-old fighting Kairi malformation and they're searching for a cure. You can contact me either through our Facebook page, Scumbags of Wrestling, or email me at scumbagsofwrestling@gmail.com. Get yourself a great t-shirt with an amazing design and help a wonderful cause at the same time. So contact me today and get your shirt or poster.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Chris Maloney for TNT Thursday Night Throwdown, episode number 29. It is Thursday, July the 30th, 2020. We're still in this COVID-19 state. As you can see, I am flying solo tonight. I give Sean and Steven the night off, so hopefully we see them next week. But guys, you can always check them out, Scumbags of Wrestling on Facebook. And from there, we'll see if I can do a show without kicking myself off. But if you have any comments, questions, anything like that, feel free to throw them down on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. We're on all three tonight, so it is pretty cool. For those that didn't see Fantasy Warfare Tournament this past Wednesday, so last night, yes, the beard is off. It's continuous. Well, it is coming back, but it'll be a wait and see whether or not I grow it back fully or whether or not, I can go clean shaven, which I'm sure my wife would absolutely adore. Guys, like I said, Chris Maloney, TNT Thursday Night Throwdown. I want to start off just by saying I'm officially happy that sports is on its way back. My Red Sox, which usually I got my cap on there, is only 2-4 right now. So 60-game season, 6 games out of the way. They're 1/10 done already, so it doesn't look too good, but I know they're playing right now, so hopefully good luck to them. Stanley Cup qualifiers begin this coming Saturday, as well as the NBA restarts today, hence the Raptors hack going on. So good thing for sports coming back. Might be a bad news for wrestling ratings. We'll have to wait and see. But heavy show tonight as far as lots of news go. New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course. Happy to see them back as well. But some sad news. I'm just going to read a statement here. This was on the 25th. So Regis Philbin passed away. WWE is saddened to learn that legendary entertainment figure Regis Philbin has passed away at the age of 88. WWE superstars were frequent guests on Philbin's morning show, Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, including the Ultimate Warrior, Ravishing Rick Rude, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Macho Man Randy Savage, John Cena, and many more. Philbin even battled the massive Yokozuna in an epic tug of war in an episode. Memorable shot at one of the WrestleManias, I think it was WrestleMania 7, was him interviewing The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and then obviously, him being put on the sharpshooter by Bret Hart, which was kind of cool as well. But thoughts and prayers. Regis Philbin passed away. I mean, obviously, as a kid growing up, his morning show, was always 9 a.m., and then he went from, I think, Kathy Lee to Kelly Ripa. Anyways, 88 years old, a long time to live. Obviously, he lived, an amazing life. God rest his soul. But I guess one of the big reasons he got into the wrestling business was the Classy Freddie Blassie. So that was kind of cool to hear about. And then, he was such a passionate fan up until, just a bunch of years ago, because of the fact, I guess wrestling had gone downhill to him. He wasn't as interested. It probably, the whole TNA, the Attitude Era and stuff like that. But obviously he had John Cena on the show, and so he was a fan as of recently. But anyways, Regis Philbin, like I said, passed away, 88 years old. Rest in peace to Regis Philbin there. So we go from WWE into some New Japan Pro Wrestling. So when was it? Saturday, so the 25th, another something that happened on the 25th. So Sengoku Lord in Nagoya. I gotta learn to calm down and slow down as far as my talking goes. I'm never gonna get through this show. But that took place in Nagoya, Japan, Saturday, July 25th. So I'll just go through the results quickly here. Taiji Ishimori defeated Yuya. I try to get used to these first names here. Uemura. So we had Togi Makabe, Satoshi Kojima, and Risuke Taguchi defeating Gabriel Kidd, Toru Yano, and Tomohiro Ishii. Third match of the night saw Sanada, Bushi, and Tetsuya Naito. So LIJ defeating Sho Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto. Fourth match of the night saw Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Yuji Nagata, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, just otherwise known as Tenzan, and then Master Wado defeating Dookie, Yoshinobu Kanemaru. We'll see if I get better week by week as far as these names go. Minoru Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr., and Taichi. One of the reasons, of course, is the fact is, I'm always used to calling them by just one single name as far as Japanese wrestling goes. Hence the fact you had Asuka, Nakamura, for example. So some of the first names I'm kind of probably have never said before. Special singles match, you had Kazuchika Okada defeating Yujiro Takahashi with the Cobra Clutch. One of the big things about this is you're not seeing Okada use the Rainmaker anymore, which is kind of different. But he went over in Takahashi in this one, and then obviously Sorry, just going through the highlights here. But next match, Shingo Takagi defeats El Desperado, retains the Never Openweight Championship. And then from there, we go down to seventh match was Evil defeating Hiromu Takahashi to retain the title, setting up for him and Naito coming up soon as far as I think it's the event on the 27th or 29th of August. I'll get into it though. But guys, anyways, that was Sengoku Lord there in Japan. So anyways, like I said, I mentioned Takahashi. He is actually injured at the moment. Reason being, he's got a shoulder injury that's kind of keeping him out. I'm just going to bring up the article by New Japan here. So, due to an injury to his left shoulder, New Japan Pro Wrestling medical staff had determined that Hiromu Takahashi will not be able to appear in cards from tonight's event. Changes have been made to cards for tonight and Friday, July 31st. So that is tomorrow, Kuroken Hall. Apologize to the fans who are looking forward to seeing Takahashi. Basically, is saying that he expected to return in time for a scheduled IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship defense against Taiji Ishimori on August 29th in Jingo Stadium. So that was on the 29th. New Japan had put that news out there. So talking about New Japan as well, next event coming up is going to be taking place 5:30 tomorrow morning for all you Nighthawks out there, or people who just don't like to sleep. So I'm going to bring that up right now. Basically, it's going to go on for a little while there as far as New Japan goes. The Summer Struggle series taking place. They've got more events coming up as well, which is going to be interesting. But like I said, the next event is coming up 5:30 tomorrow morning for us in Canada, and of course us in London, Ontario. If I'm awake at basically 5:30 in the morning, I'll be watching this. But Summer Struggle 2020 continuing Tokyo Kuroken Hall. So you got Gabriel Kidd, Yoda Tsuji, Rizuki Taguchi, and Kojima taking on Goto, Ishii, Yano, and Yoshihashi. I'm just going to pronounce their last names so I get used to them. Hanma's back as teaming with Makabe, taking on Sanada and Shingo Takagi. Uemura, Wado, Tenzan, Ibushi, and Tanahashi taking on Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., El Desperado, Kanemaru, and Duki. From there, we go Sho and Okada taking on Gedo and Takahashi. That's Yujiro Takahashi. Bushi and Naito taking on Ishimori as well as Evil, and then Nagata taking on Minoru Suzuki. So Battle of the Legends right there. So that'll be interesting. So that is the next event taken up for New Japan Pro Wrestling. That is tomorrow morning, like I said, 5:30 a.m. taking place on New Japan World. So big news as well as Japan goes was this. Pro Wrestling Noah and DDT to merge into a single company. So that was announced on July the 26th. So what that means is basically you've got Noah, DDT, and backstory is neither one of them want to go to the business. So how do you keep things going? You merge as a company. So you merge as a company, what happens there is all of a sudden, well, what do we do? So we come up with a new name. So Cyber Agent is the kind of the senior, company that owns both. So now all of a sudden, as far as September 1st goes, you're going to be seeing a new promotion come about. So Pro Wrestling Noah as well as DDT gone, and you're going to be seeing a new promotion called CyberFight coming out. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, I'm just going to see if I can bring this up. I don't think I have the article in front of me, so I'll just leave it at that. But like I said, anyways, we've got September 1st taking place and the new promotion, coming into there. Antonio Inoki, basically, this is through Post Wrestling, discusses his cardiac. I can't even pronounce the word. He's something to do with his heart condition. He wasn't doing well. So, anyways, thoughts and prayers with Antonio Inoki. We go from basically talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling into some North American wrestling here. So, anybody who saw Raw this past Monday night, the 27th, a couple big things came out of it. So, number one, Sasha Banks wins the Raw Women's title. Big points of the match were this. Basically, Asuka was in the ring with Sasha. Bayley sneak attacked Kairi Sane in the back. Basically, the rules were that basically you can go and you could lose the title by count out. So Asuka was in the ring, had to make a choice between whether or not she was going to sit there and try to win the title, as she basically had Sasha Banks in a submission hold. But the problem is, she, I shouldn't say problem, but the fact is she decided to go and say, hey, you know what, this isn't right. I'm going to go help out my friend. She gets counted out. Sasha Banks ends up winning the title, and Kairi Sane, gets saved by Asuka. So that was the big thing. Sasha Banks winning the title last Monday on Raw. The other big thing was it was the final farewell of Kairi Sane. Recently, she got married. Apparently, her husband's in Japan, and because of that, fact is, she wants to go and start a family from the sounds of it. She wants to apparently wrestle for Stardom every now and then. And she's still relatively young, and the fact is she did, pretty much as she possibly could with the WWE. She was NXT, she won the championship, Mae Young Classic. She moves up to Raw. She's part of the Kabuki Warriors with Asuka. I'm surprised they didn't do anything with Io Shirai, because the fact is they were close over there in Stardom. But anyways, Kairi Sane is done as far as WWE and North American wrestling goes. WWE, put out an article saying, good luck and thank you for everything that you've done and this and that. And the fact is, she's going to have a huge life ahead of her. It's the same thing with Becky Lynch. We never know if we're going to see her back in the ring. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. And the fact is, Kairi Sane, the fact is she made a decision. So anyways, we will have to wait and see whether or not she comes back to North America anytime. Not sure what that's about, but anyways, moving on. So New Japan Pro Wrestling two huge title matches official for Summer Struggle in Jingu. So I'm just going to quickly bring that up, and bear with me here. I wish it was a little more organized sometimes, but anyways, 2 title matches coming up. So Summer Struggle in Jingu is taking place August the 29th. So the big main event is Evil battling Tetsu Naito. I'm just going to say Naito. Evil battling Naito, putting the titles on the line against the former champion there. And the second match, and hopefully this takes place depending on the injury of Hiromu. But the fact is they've got Ishimori battling Hiromu Takahashi for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. So, interesting enough, we had a Fantasy Warfare tournament, and the last thing that we had done was with regards to the Cruiserweights. And doing the Cruiserweight thing, it was kind of cool because the fact is you had 32 Cruiserweights, best in the world, past, present, guys who should probably still exist probably about 10 years from now, like Will Ospreay, guys like that, right? But the first round of the tournament that we had just done was Takahashi fighting Ishii. And I think Ishii had moved. No, not Ishii. Sorry, Ishimori. And the fact is, I think Ishimori had moved on. But the fact is, Steven, who's a regular host of the show here, had said basically that he was a mark for Hiromu Takahashi. So, anyways, 2 matches, like I said, been announced for Summer Struggle in Jingu. Again, trying to slow down, kind of losing my breath as I'm doing this. As I was saying earlier with regards to Hanma being part of the event tomorrow morning, him and Tsuji cleared to return, and that was announced on the 28th, so they had a bit of a COVID scare. Both of them have been cleared to return, which is great. King of Pro Wrestling, so the KOPW 2020 announced was in a special press conference that was by Okada, as well as New Japan President Sayabashi, I do believe is how you pronounce his name. So that'll be a tournament basically with a winner. There's no championship on the line, but you won't see a guy with a belt, but the fact is the guy will have the trophy. He'll be basically determined King of Pro Wrestling, KOPW champion for the the year 2020, and all of a sudden it will reset. They want to do this continuous thing throughout the throughout the next couple of years, so it'll be interesting. Getting the comments by the host of the show, I gave him the night off, and all of a sudden I've got everything from "Nope, you can't" from Steven, not sure what that was about, to Red Sox suck. I'm not even wearing the Red Sox hat tonight there, Steven. And Sean saying he was done his previous stuff, so I'm going to continue, and we'll see how many comments we can get from these guys on the sidelines. But from there, anyways, what was I saying? Oh, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong press conference taking place. Again, wish I was a little more organized, but I found this one pretty quick. Running on Friday nights through July, Lionsbury Collision was an immense success on New Japan World. As Collision came to an end on July 24th, keen viewers will have seen a tease for the brand new concept titled New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong to begin August 7th. This Friday, July 31st, so tomorrow, regular time of 10 Eastern, New Japan Pro Wrestling invites fans and members of the media to tune into a special online press conference on New Japan Pro Wrestling World to formally announce New Japan Strong and what to expect from this incredible new venture. That's by New Japan of America, by the way. So it'll be interesting. Sean on the sideline says R.I.P. Reg, Hall of Famer first ballot. Definitely have to agree with that. Let me see here. From there, yeah, I want to talk about this because this is one of those things that, I mean, as a wrestling fan from the time I was 3 years old, now I'm 44, so 41. I've been hardcore WWE. Like my first impressions of wrestling, why I became a fan, was Andre the Giant. You know what I mean? So I have been hardcore WWE, WWF for 40 plus years. So WWE Raw ratings remain near record lows. I'd already touched on the fact Sasha Banks winning the title in the main event, Asuka doing what she did, to try to save Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane's done. It wasn't the main event. It should have been the main event, but the fact is they had Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler in the main event. So it was, how many times can you see it? So I'm just going to read this. Last night's Raw number, even though there were some bright spots as far as the first 2 hours not doing too badly, ended up the second least watched episode of the show in its history and the third lowest ever in 18 to 49. Raw averaged 1.62 million viewers, down 1% from last week's second worst number ever. Show was low to Asuka versus Sasha Banks, McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler, which was pushed for the championship match, but then all of a sudden they changed it last minute. Fact is, what happens is this. So in addition, Raw set all-time record lows for the third hour built around those two matches, which did a 1.46 million viewers. Reason I bring that up, so when I get talking about AEW versus NXT in a bit, the fact is, when you look at it, combined viewership this week, 1,480,000 people. That third hour Raw, 1,460,000 people. So combined viewership for AEW versus NXT, fact is, what it came down to, them beating WWE Raw this past Monday night as far as that third hour goes. So me as a wrestling fan, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, why not go down to 2 hours? Why they should have done that from the friggin' beginning. They're going from the Performance Center, not having people wrestle, showing the WrestleMania matches that already took place, and making that half an hour to 45 minutes of their show. So if they're going to try new stuff, why not try just 2 hour Raw? Does it come down with the contract with the USA Network? I mean, they should be able to renegotiate. They should be able to, 1.46 million as far as the third hour goes is not great. And as a wrestling fan, to me, watching Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler, because you can't have the whole roster down there. Like Kevin Owens wasn't even on the show this week. I love Kevin Owens. But the fact is, you put that as the main event, and the next thing you know, all of a sudden you see that rating. Does it matter? No, it probably doesn't matter. Vince McMahon's probably just like, gonna be like, oh, hey, who cares? It's my show. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to. So that, interesting enough, I will say this. So two things came out in the past couple of days. Number one, top investment analysis firm calls out WWE Creative, believes WWE media rights will decline if the current trends continue. What that means is this. They touched base on the fact that Paul Heyman was, let go. They talked about that. They talked about the ratings being down. They talked about the fact that they can't do shows, don't have attendance, this and that. Well, sure enough, WWE 2020 Q2 financial call took place. Big operating increase was part of the article, title as well. But Vince McMahon was asked about the softness of the ratings. He essentially blamed it on the lack of audience interaction, but they said they can have better storylines, more compelling characters, and more content that isn't in the ring that is interesting to viewers. Then he was asked why NXT and AEW have bounced back from COVID-19 downtick while Raw and SmackDown hasn't. He said that because they're new and that it's up to the WWE to make Raw and SmackDown more youthful. Okay, so when is that going to happen? As a wrestling fan, I'm waiting to see new stuff. AEW is trying right now. NXT is somewhat trying as well, but the fact is ratings are horrible right now, so they've got to try new stuff, and it's only a matter of time before that 1.46 million viewers on a third hour decide to say, hey, see you later. And especially with sports coming back, like I said, the Red Sox are playing right now as I'm doing this. You've got basketball starting back up tonight. You've got like I said, NHL, the Stanley Cup format taking place this coming Saturday. So they're not doing themselves any favors as far as what's coming up, as far as their ratings go. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. One of the things I thought was great this past week was this Impact on Access TV. Highlights was Eddie Edwards defeating Trey. Wrestle House debuted. Heath debut next week against Moose. If he beats Moose, he ends up winning the contract with Impact Wrestling. Another promo for Myers. We'll have to wait and see when he debuts. Jake Cousin Jake defeated Cody Deaner. Loser leaves the room match. Basically, looking for a new place to sleep, Cody stumbles into a luxury bus. So basically, they're a little mini skits going on as far as that goes. And then the Good Brothers debuts as well. Another thing about Cody Deaner, so if you're on social media, and nowadays who isn't, check him out at Cody Deaner for Facebook, Twitter, what am I forgetting? Instagram. He's doing personal shout-out videos as well as coloring contests right now, just to keep out there to help fans, to keep fans happy, this and that. So if you're looking for Cody Deaner to give you a personal shout out, or as far as your kids go, you can color a picture of Cody Deaner and then win, I think, one of his t-shirts, as well as a personal shout out from him as well. Like I said, check out Cody Deaner. You can also go to his website, which is codydeaner.com, so check that out when you can. I already talked about Takahashi with his shoulder injury there, so I'm going to touch base on mixed martial arts, so MMA. So, 242 results. Well, this was Bellator, by the way. Sergio Pettis outclasses Ricky Bandejas to secure a bantamweight title shot. That was on the 24th. Khabib is going to fight Justin Gaethje in October for the undisputed UFC lightweight title. Big news about that. There's Conor McGregor talk again. There's GSP talk again, so that'll be interesting. Khabib, hate the guy. I mean, he just screams arrogance, but the fact is, when it comes down to it, he's one of the best. And I was like that with wrestling too, I guess. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to hate guys like Ravager Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect and Ted DiBiase and this and that. And actually, I just watched the Ted DiBiase thing online the other night about him and Ted DiBiase Jr. and the mistakes he made in wrestling and this and that. But when you get older, you realize the heels are some of the best, because the fact is, it takes a lot to be hated, to stay hated, and to be able to cut good promos. And in saying that, there's a good promo I'm going to talk about coming up just momentarily here. But like I said, Khabib is one of the best, and the fact is, it'll be interesting whether or not he can become undisputed lightweight champion. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can, how much longer he can go, at the height that he's at. So upcoming, of course, for MMA, and I love saying this because it means COVID is taking a back seat. We're not done and through with it, but life is coming back to normal. So one championship over there in Asia is presenting No Surrender, Bangkok, Thailand, 8:30 a.m. That is tomorrow. You can check that out on the One Super app. UFC Fight Night, Bronson versus Shabazyan. Normally I go on YouTube to figure out how to pronounce these names, but this one I completely messed up on. Taking place at the UFC Apex, 9 p.m. That is on the 1st, so this coming Saturday. Prelims at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is on TSN 5 this coming Saturday as well. So that is with regards to MMA. Big talk right now I'm going to get into is AEW and NXT. So you heard me mention earlier on 1.48 million people combined end up watching the two shows this week. So AEW 773 main event was Loomis versus Thatcher versus Balor in a triple threat match to earn a spot in the North American title ladder match at TakeOver 30. NXT, well, I screwed that up. What did I do? Oh, I said AEW. So yeah, so the ratings is great. Okay, the rating was accurate for what is it, 773 for AEW. But the main event was no DQ tornado tag team match featuring Moxley, Allen versus Cage and Stark. So that was a pretty good main event, and I'll get into that. Then you got NXT 707, and that was the Loomis versus Thatcher versus Balor match. So that's like I said, that's the ratings are accurate, but I kind of mixed that up. I'm kind of glad I caught that, though, which was interesting, because normally Sean or Steven would have spat that out immediately. But 773, like I said, AEW, NXT 707. Combined 1.48 million, up 20,000 viewers from last week. But the big thing about this that I want to talk about is the 18 to 49 demo. AEW averaged a 0.3 rating, down 6.3% from last week. So they ranked 6th on cable in that category. Last week they were 5th, so not a big change there. The big thing was NXT up 5.9%, averaging a 0.18 rating and finishing 28th on the cable in that important demo. I think last week, they were number 35 as far as the demo goes. But when you think about it this way, last week, I think they had 1.46 million people watching both shows. This week, you have 1.48 people watching both shows, so up 20,000. But the fact is, when you look at it, NXT jumped as far as the ratings go. So obviously, they like the fact of the triple threat match better than the main event featuring AEW's champion as well as Brian Cage. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, the big thing that happened besides the MJF promo that I will talk about is this. So 3 things happened as far as AEW goes. So Warhorse made his debut, Matt Cardona, formerly Zack Ryder, made his debut, and Arian Andrew, formerly known as Cameron in the WWE, the Funkadactyls, all made their debuts yesterday. Be interesting to see what they do with Cameron. She's tag team with Nyla Rose in the tournament that's coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her, whether or not she's learned how to wrestle. Cardona, I'm a fan of it, but the fact is ex-WWE guy, and I know people crap all over that, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. And then Warhorse, I've seen this guy on social media. He's got a big following. Lufisto, if you look in the back, the top up there, that's her T-shirt that she signed for me. I was a big fan of this, Warhorse being in AEW, so I just don't get his gimmick. I mean, I get the gimmick as far as what he's trying to do, but the fact is I wasn't impressed by Warhorse yesterday. So if you're a different opinion, whatever the case may be, let me know. Find me a good match that's on YouTube, whatever the case may be, and tell me to watch it so I can find out why this guy is so talked about. But I don't know. I just I didn't get I didn't get why he had so much hype behind him. He's an average wrestler at best to me. AEW Women's Tag Team Cup rules start date announced, so I'm just going to quickly bring that up. It'll be an interesting tournament because I know it's been hit with mixed reaction as far as what it's what it's all about. But this is F4W Online. A week after announcing the first ever AEW Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, company laid out a deadly draw rules and format on this past Wednesday's Dynamite. Tourney will begin on their YouTube channel this coming Monday at 7 p.m. So as far as I guess that would be civic holiday for us, but I don't know if it's a holiday on the States there. Tournament will feature 8 teams, all chosen via a random draw. 16 female competitors will each draw a color with those matching. With those drawing matching colors paired up. The selections are final and can't be appealed. So what that means, you've got Brandy as well as Ali as a tag team, and they have to draw. And if they get separate colors, they're going to be on separate teams. So Brandy had made note of that on social media there, saying that she wasn't happy about it. And then basically, like I said, Nyla Rose is teaming with Ariana Andrew, the former Cameron WWE. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know if they announced as far as when the rest of the drawings are taking place, but they said, like I said, this coming Monday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, they'll start doing that show there. So we'll have to wait and see how it works out. I'm hit and miss about it. I'm kind of mixed. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I mean, it's wrestling on TV. It's fresh wrestling on TV, so to speak, on YouTube. So I guess we'll have to wait and see there. So that was AEW. As far as the show went, it was okay. There was nothing majorly spectacular about it. Actually, you know what? I'll quickly bring it up. Us here in Canada, I mean, we don't get NXT on a regular basis as far as the live stuff goes because it's on USA Network down the States. And even we used to get it on not Fight Network, but WWE Network every Thursday at 10 p.m. And for whatever reason this week it wasn't listed. I don't know if it's going to be on. It's about 8:30 right now, so I'll have to wait and see. But good thing we have Sportsnet 360, so 7 p.m. every Friday night you get to see the highlights of it. So a 1-hour highlight show, so to speak. So it's Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee coming up is definitely interesting to me. Undisputed Era back together, Imperium there. It's NXT's got the ability to have a great August. Now whether or not they will, I'll have to wait and see. But they're going in the right direction right now. AEW on the other hand is, I don't want to say that they're stale, but they had a lot of potential as far as building these characters go, and they seem to be focused too heavy right now on the WWE guys, the ex-WWE guys, and they'll also bring in a guy like Matt Cardona last night, so I'll get into that momentarily though. But they started out with the 10-man tag. Next week they're going to do a 12-man tag. I just think it's overkill. It doesn't excite me at all as far as the 10-man tags, the 12-man tags. Back in the day of Survivor Series, of course, but now it's like, no, it's just let's get as many people on TV as possible. Cody retained against Warhorse, which is when we saw Matt Cardona make his debut. He ended up saving Cody from the I almost said the Elite, but that's not right. The Brody Lee stable there. Anyways, you guys know what I mean. World Tag Team Championship match: Kenny Omega, Hangman Page defeated Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno to retain. As a fan of the SSB, as Canadian Independent Wrestling fan, I mean, obviously I was rooting for the SSB, Uno and Stu Grayson, but it wasn't too bad of a match. I can't wait to see when Hangman's going to turn. The big thing is the Dark Order come out and they said, hey, good to see you show up, Kenny Omega, and Brody Lee is specifically talking about this. So, and Colt Cabana is still with the Dark Order. So, Britt Baker promo, Diamante got beat by Shida. Wasn't a bad match, but I mean, where are they going to go from Diamante, so to speak? And when's Britt Baker going to be ready? So I mean, are we looking at All Out in September? I guess we'll wait and see. MJF State of the Industry address. I will address that momentarily because it's a huge topic as far as what's being talked about today. And the main event, like I said, Moxley and Darby Allin defeated Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Next week, you'll see Moxley defend against Darby Allin. And then announced as well Chris Jericho in a debate against Orange Cassidy next week. And then from there, they'll be having a rematch on the 12th of August. So be interesting to see what happens, how long they keep this going. It's is what it is. So you got Jericho, who's up there in age, taking out Orange Cassidy, and I didn't realize till last night in the fight, so the 10-man tag, how small and how out of shape Orange Cassidy actually looks. But and I think it was Hager he was in the ring with. But I mean, I love the character, but it's just I don't know how long it's going to last as far as wrestling goes. So the big thing I want to talk about is the MJF State of the Industry address. He also challenged Jon Moxley to the AEW World Championship at All Out. Big thing about this is MJF, I think they said he's 24 years old, cut the promo of his life on national TV yesterday. Again, they're only in front of 773,000 people at tops. I haven't seen the breakdown yet as far as, what his segment actually did, but he basically said what was needed to be said. And Steven, I'll shout this out to you, okay, you bastard. But the fact is, there was a time WWE, and it was an edition of Monday Night Raw, and the fact is there wasn't a lot of fans paying attention, and all of a sudden WCW was the big new thing, the big new shiny toy, so to speak. Jim Cornette gets on TV because there's this media guy that was going and saying bad stuff with regards to bad stuff with regards to the products, so to speak, and the characters. And Jim Cornette came on TV and did a 5-minute backstage promo defending the WWE and saying what needed to be said. Well, MJF, same thing last night. He said what needed to be said. He said he bleeds black and gold. He bleeds, black, gold, and white. He's the future of the company. He wants that championship. He kept saying Dictator John, referring to to Jon Moxley. The fact is, when it comes down to it, MJF is one of those guys I want to see in the ring. MJF is one of those guys who should be carrying the championship, one of those championships. The fact is, when you think about AEW, you think about this. SCU as tag team champions was great, okay? But then you had the Christopher Daniels factor that was involved with it. All of a sudden, you get the TNT Championship. Who wins that damn thing? Cody, okay? Experienced, veteran, former WWE guy. Then all of a sudden, you have the AEW World Championship. And obviously, they want to give it credibility and establish the damn thing. But the fact is, what happens? You've got Chris Jericho, who wins it for the first time. And then what happens after that? Yeah, that's right. Moxley wins it. Former WWE guys. So AEW is all about changing the world, so to speak, or in Jericho's mind, changing the universe. When's it going to happen? When are guys like Jungle Boy going to be able to step up and be champion? When are guys like MJF going to be able to step up and be a champion? What happened at Private Party? There was so much hype and focus on those guys, and they're no longer in the title run. So and you've got that. You've got Hangman and friggin' Kenny Omega, and I love Omega to death, but holding on to these titles. So when you look at their champions right now, you've got Moxley, former WWE guy, Cody, former WWE guy, and you've got Hangman and Kenny Omega as champs. And it's like, man, enough's enough. You know what? You want to go into getting new fans and building that rating and doing more than, say, 773,000 last week I think their highs were about 1 million people, and that was for the the Pepper Parks and Andy Williams match, as I call them, because I'm an Ontario independent wrestling fan. Fact is, when it comes down to it, it's this: I want to establish better ratings, establish better stars. Do this before the WWE decides to capitalize, because they're already trying. They're already trying to basically get rid of AEW the best way they can, and that's competing, head to head with them. So, like I said, MJF said what he needed to say, and hopefully we see better and big things from him. Like I said, he's only about 24 years old. I got to see him in London, Ontario here for a Smash show against CZW. Didn't think much of him, so who the hell was this guy? Why is he wearing that stupid scarf? But the fact is, look where he is now. So it's very interesting to see what they're going to do with him. Hopefully they pull the trigger, and hopefully they give him that title there. So, guys, last thing I'll say about pro wrestling is this: AEW Unrivaled figures taking place, dropping on Monday, March. Don't want to go back to March, August the 3rd. I don't know if we're going to get them here in Canada. I've checked out Walmart.com as well as Walmart.ca. Not listed there at all. I know some of the people have gotten pre-orders and gotten them early. I think you can go to Ringside Collectibles, probably pick them up there, but I haven't seen anything as far as Canada goes. So I guarantee I will be hitting Walmart probably Monday or Tuesday of next week just to see, and whether or not we are getting them here in Canada. So I'll say that again, Canada, not Canada. But anyways, guys, what I'm going to do right now is quickly take a break just to be able to get some water into me, because the solo show stuff, I'm not sure how much I'm enjoying this, but it is something new. So with episode 29, so 30 will be a big week next week for us, so we'll have to wait and see what we come up with. But I'm going to do this, and right now I'm going to play a promo from our good friends over the Knights of the Squared Circle, just so I can get some water into me, and then we'll come back talking about some Canadian independent wrestling news here. So stay tuned.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Do you want the latest info on shows and the stars that appear throughout Ontario? Are you looking for information and insight into the independent wrestling scene? Want interviews and information on the big leagues? Then you want Knights of the Squared Circle with Ryan Knight on Coyote 103. Ryan has his finger on the pulse of wrestling in Ontario on every level, and he brings that to you every Sunday at noon. Listen for your wrestling fix with Ryan Knight and Knights of the Squared Circle, Sunday at noon, only on Coyote 103.
And that was a quick promo, but thanks, Ryan, for recording that for us and sending it over to us. And guys, if you are, you're a podcaster, especially here in Canada, there we go with Canada again, in Canada or Ontario or any place, in North America, so to speak, you want to get your promo played, because we not only we do TNT Thursday Night Throwdown, but the fact is we also do Fantasy Warfare Tournament, and in between the rounds we can play clips and everything else, so I wouldn't mind having some more. So if you're out there and you're doing podcasting, you're doing interviews or whatever the case may be, hit me up, chris@cwnonline.ca. You can also email the show at Thursday Night Throwdown at outlook.com, so or social media, of course, just look for the show right up there at TN Throwdown CA is the best way to get in touch with us. I'll tell you this, I am slowing down, and my words are getting better. They're not so jumbled together. So just in time, like I said, for and I say that and I end up screwing up again, but at least I'm having fun with this. All right, guys, so Canadian Independent Wrestling. So RCW Friday Night Fights in Calgary, Alberta, July 31st, August 7th, 14th, and 28th. RCW Saturday Night Fights in Edmonton, Alberta, August 1st, 15th, 22nd, and the 29th. We got 365 Pro Wrestling, Live Pro Wrestling, Campbell River, BC, August 1st. New School Wrestling, Dropkicks, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Drive-In Wrestling Party in Hamilton, Ontario, August the 15th. That is, like I said, a drive-in wrestling party. Destiny presenting the Summer Heat Barbecue Party in Mississauga, Ontario, August the 16th. And then we got ECPW, so East Coast Pro Wrestling, Celtic Chaos 2020, Glace Bay, Nova Scotia, August 22nd taking place. So that is a return to the Maritimes for EC Pro Wrestling, East Coast Pro Wrestling. The event is sold out, so which would be great to have them back. I know New Scott, so Harold Kennedy's a big part of that down there, so it'd be interesting to see how they come out of COVID and the social distancing aspect, and after the show, whether or not they run more shows and this and that. So we'll have to wait and see about that. From there, guys, there are only events that I saw that were being promoted on Facebook. If you have anything more, like I said, hit us up Thursday Night Throwdown at Outlook.com. I'll make sure to get your events in. So, big news for Canadian independent wrestling was this for me. So, I woke up this morning and, past guests that we've had on the show, Mike Maloney, who does Backbreaker Media, and like I said, we had an interview with him on the show with regards to COVID, everything else. And it was interesting to see the news today. So, WCSN, which I believe was Win Column Sports Network, shut down. And Backbreaker Media made a statement. Now, of course, WCSN was being produced and was Spencer Love's big thing. He decided to take a break from everything. So the interesting aspect of it is the statements that were put out. And I'm going to say this, I'll read the statements here, but when it comes down to it, if you want to know one side of the story at least, and I don't know how much he's going to touch base on it, but the fact is, Mike Maloney, you can check him out, twitch.tv/Backbreaker Media at 9 o'clock tonight. So right after this show, head on over to twitch.tv/Backbreaker Media. Mike Maloney's going to end up talking about, his side of the story, or kind of politically what went down, so to speak. And then, like I said, 9 o'clock tonight over on Twitch. So, again, I'm just going to read here the statements that were produced. First one that had come up was this. So, official statement regarding WCSN and the future of Backbreaker Media. So, on July 29th, yesterday, Spencer has made the decision to close down Win Column Sports, including the website and the social media accounts. As for reasons why or any explanation to the sudden decision, we respect Mr. Love to get an explanation if he feels comfortable to do so. On behalf of BBM, which is Backbreaker Media, not the old BBM for the Blackberries, and all former members of WCSN, we wish Spencer all the best in his future endeavors. As for the future, the podcast under the WCSN banner will move to Backbreaker Media. Kyle Shaw and Maverick Jack are doing a heck of a job with their respective shows, and we wish to have them continue. All podcasts, including recorded conversations with Love that have been announced, will be released, with the exception of the Nate Nixon interview. Based on the nature of the interview, that specific interview will not be released. They go on to further say this. I'm just waiting for it to load. If you have subscribed to the WCSN podcast via various podcast systems, you're already set to continue on. Links to become a new subscriber will come soon. All podcasts in the future will also be available on BBM YouTube page in audio form. That's youtube.com/Backbreaker Media. As for interviews, we're evaluating how we'll be going forward in terms of coverage. We'll have a few options in terms of audio and video interviews, including live streaming on Twitch. So that's twitch.tv/Backbreaker Media. All depends on time and availability of staff. At this time, there will not be any print media produced on an independent website. And then he goes on to say, Backbreaker Media, that is, as of August 1st, 2020, the only promotion affiliation BBM has with the video production of Force Pro Wrestling. This will continue, but the focus of the channel will be to emphasize the people that are the highlight of Western Canadian wrestling scene. Not specifically any one promotion. We want to focus on what makes everyone enjoy wrestling. So thank you for your continued support, and more details will be coming out in the following weeks. Backbreaker Media has been working on many individual projects in the background and expect some major announcements coming over the next few weeks. So again, that was by Backbreaker Media, produced by, again, Mike Maloney, who's been a guest on this show. That was his, story as far as what they're going to do, where they're going to go, and what happened as far as yesterday goes. So from there, we go into Spencer Love's statement, and it wasn't, as detailed as Mike Maloney's in Backbreaker, but the fact is Spencer Love, and this was looked like it was yesterday. For those who have asked, and I guess the rest of you who could care less, WCSN isn't experiencing any internet issues or anything of this sort. He goes, it's gone. He goes, if I can be serious here for a minute, thanks to you all who supported this adventure in professional wrestling, it's been a treat. 44 comments, and that was as of probably about 1 or 2 p.m. So again, if you search for Spencer Love on Facebook, you'll be able to see what's being said. A lot of support for him as far as what he had done for the Alberta independent wrestling community and everything that he had done in his interviews and everything else. But the fact is, even I'll tell you this. So when I talked to Mike Maloney, I had no idea there was any kind of frustration at all. That all of a sudden, I think I did the interview probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago, and all of a sudden now it's like, Spencer Love, who was a huge part of that, is no longer doing his thing. And it's kind of weird. It'd be like the same thing as myself and Sean, and all of a sudden we're doing TNT. And the next thing you know, he decides not to do it anymore, or I decide not to do it anymore, or he just all of a sudden decides tomorrow that, hey, he's shutting down Scumbags, or I shut down CWN, or whatever the case may be. So it's, sad news as far as independent wrestling goes. I mean, we do this stuff because we love doing it. I mean, I'll tell you this. I'll be the first to admit I probably suck at doing what I'm doing, but the fact is I'm enjoying it. I love talking about wrestling. I love getting better week by week. I love learning and being able to do kind of a news type show, so to speak, doing the interviews when we can, and it's just a passion of mine, and it's to me it's something fun to do on Thursday nights, so to speak. But for what went down over there as far as WCSN, it's sad, and a lot of fans were left confused as far as the website goes and the interviews and this and that. But it sounds like Backbreaker Media is doing the best they can, and I think Mike had mentioned some post damage control, so to speak. So I wish them the best, and like I said, for more of the story, check them out over on twitch.tv /Backbreaker Media tonight at 9 p.m. Independent news as well, and you can see, like I said up top there, Lufisto's shirt. But the fact is, I'm getting a huge kick out of her again. And I can't say I've ever not been a fan of hers, but I'll tell you this: I did an interview with her way back in 2006. This was back in the day you actually had to call somebody, hook up. I had to hook up a recorder to my phone. And this was a landline. It wasn't now like technology and everything else. But the fact is, I had to do the old audio recorder and that sketchy freaking audio. It was horrible quality. But the fact is, I was excited I got to do an interview with Lufisto over the phone. So I did the interview with Lufisto, and next thing you know, that was 2006, and then she goes through health scares and cancer, and that shirt was it was supposed to be one of the retirement shirts, so to speak. And now she has lost a lot of weight. She's getting back in shape. She is heavily interested in the product again, even to the point last night she's on social media, she's on Twitter, and she's basically bouncing all over the place about Cody versus Warhorse. And they've got this TNT championship thing taking place, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, Cody's picking and choosing people to be part of this tournament, and Lufisto is like, hey, make me part of it, make me part of it, make me part of it. And it's like, I'd love to, I would mark out, okay? I would honestly mark out if I got to see Lufisto in an AEW ring. I think it'd be absolutely phenomenal. Whether or not we'll ever see it happen, because the fact is, I don't even think we've ever seen anything that's been intergender based as far as AEW goes. But the fact is, I would be the first one to mark out for it. I think Lufisto, I don't think she'd necessarily win the championship, but you never know. But the fact is, to see her against Cody Rhodes, I think would be absolutely phenomenal, especially if they're picking and choosing random people to show up. I mean, you've had 2 weeks in a row where last week they had Eddie Kingston, this week they had Warhorse. Who's to say that, maybe Lufisto for the month of August? So, fingers crossed, so to speak. Lufisto as TNT champion would be absolutely phenomenal. So, guys, I think I've run out of things to say, so I'm going to start doing some plugs. Fantasy Warfare, we did that Warfare tournament. Like I said, we did the Cruiserweights. That is on YouTube right now. You can check that out on the CWN YouTube account. That's youtube.com/CWN online. You can also check it out, of course, on the TNT YouTube account. 32 of the best cruiserweights in the world. And guys, it was an enjoyable tournament. It was funny because we went into it, and it was myself and Sean and Steven, and we had thought about, hey, 32 people, how long is this going to take? and Sean is like sitting there, and he gets his White Claw drink on, moments into the show. I'm like, are you actually drinking? He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't know how long this is going to be. So I think we ended, I think it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, if I remember, or around that mark. But we ended up crowning Jushin Thunder Liger as champion. Unfortunately, like I said, and you could tell, if you've ever watched me here on the show, I'm an Omega guy. I'm an Omega mark. I tell you this. So when he was PWI, top 500 #1, I picked up 2 magazines, one to be able to look through and one to be able to put it away as a keepsake. I thought about going to get to meet him at Comic-Con last year, but just timing wise, financially, just didn't measure up. I was hoping, hey, AEW is eventually going to come to Canada. I'll try to get my what do you call it, magazine signed, and obviously COVID-19 takes place, so we'll have to wait and see on that. I've got 2 of his Funko Pops. One basically put away to get signed as well. The other was my original one, and I ended up getting that, I think, at one of the Comic-Cons here in London. And by the time I got home, because I had my backpack with me, by the time I got home, the bottom had ended up ripping just a little bit. And me kind of being borderline OCD, I was like, no, this just can't be right. So I touched base with, I think the guy down at one of the Smash shows, I think it was B&K Collectibles, I think is the company or the guy's brand. And I said, hey, is it possible you can get me another Omega? So sure enough, the next time I see him, he's got another Omega brand spanking new. So I made sure to basically preserve this and put it away. And I have had the original one I had on the show, just in the backdrop here. But the other one, it's like I said, is going to get signed. But anyways, that's my Omega story. But when it comes down to it, is 2 tournaments in a row that he's been part of. One was the Greatest World Champions. Who's he faced first round? Fucking Okada. And I'm sorry, drop the E on this episode once again, because the fact is, I'll swearing, but anyway, I'm losing track. I'm checking out the comments as I'm going, but so he draws Okada first round, and I'm like, oh man, what the hell? And all of a sudden, then we do the greatest cruiserweights. Okay, 32 of them, and what happens is basically he draws friggin' the greatest cruiserweight basically in the world. Now there's argument, okay, from me. There was argument on that show because I'm a huge mark of Rey Mysterio, also a huge mark of Ultimo Dragon. And the fact is, he draws Jushin friggin' Thunder Liger. Okay, so I knew he wasn't going to last long because you got Liger, you've got Mysterio, you got Ultimo Dragon, you've got Eddie Guerrero, guys like that. But I mean, first round against Liger, I mean, that was BS. But anyways, Liger ends up winning the whole thing, so it was interesting. I just want to put this comment up here. So Backbreaker Media is actually paying attention to our show tonight. I'll try to update you as I can. So it'll be interesting to see. It's like I said, best of luck to Backbreaker and doing what they're doing, because it'd be like, basically, like I said, as far as our show goes, it'd be like me saying I'm done with TNT tomorrow, and Sean just being, oh, okay, so what the fuck do we do? So it's props to Mike over there, and I'm interested to get off of this show and check out Twitch immediately when I'm done recording here. But guys, just bear with me a second here. So we go from the greatest cruiserweights fantasy warfare tournament, and I'm gonna put this up here now. I will say this: the next one that we're doing, and the plan is for the month of August, is to be able to do 4 shows again with a special on a live edition of Thursday Night Throwdown for the Final 4. And what's coming up now is the greatest tag teams. So not just the greatest 80s tag teams or greatest world tag team champions, but greatest tag teams. So you're going to be seeing 64 of the greatest tag teams in the world, past and present. Basically, you're going to be seeing a series of 16 as far as the brackets go. So you'll be seeing the north, south, east, and west bracket once again. We'll be doing 16, 16, 16, 16, and they'll happen every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. on YouTube. And then the final show, like I said, the final 4 will be, half of TNT, followed up by half of, doing the Fantasy Warfare Tournament live on an episode of TNT. So if just want to look at the calendar here, so if we're looking as far as episodes go, we will see the 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th of August feature the greatest world tag team champions, so each one of those brackets. And then the 27th of August, which happens to be my cousin's birthday, you will see the final 4 take place as far as the greatest tag teams go, and some interesting matchups in there. So as you can see on the screen here, Scumbags of Wrestling, hashtag We Are Scumbags, Facebook.com/groups/Scumbags of Wrestling. That is Sean's baby there. Sean has done really well with it. He does as much as he can as far as Facebook goes. He's not the greatest as far as websites go. So you can check out scumbags.ca, but the best way to be able to get in touch with Sean and the Scumbags is to be part of his group in the Scumbags of Wrestling. And like I said, right there, Facebook.com/groups/Scumbags of Wrestling. So you can check that out there. My website is right here. So CWN, hashtag CWN Online, and then the website address is cwnonline.ca. That was created in 2009, basically. Again, I had been doing websites, I think from 2001, I think I did my first website, with regards to wrestling and putting news out there and this and that. And I tell you this, technology was so different back then. I mean, I went through a free website called GeoCities, I think Yahoo GeoCities or whatever the case may be. For all you people who are over 40, you probably recognize that term GeoCities. But the fact is, I started with a brand, a name called FTCWF. FTCWF basically stood for the Canadian Wrestling Fan. And the backstory is this: WrestleMania 18 was coming to Toronto, and I was looking for information about meet and greets or fan fests and this and that. And WWE.com, WWF.com back in the day wasn't the greatest. Companies, not companies, but websites like Slam Wrestling and this and that existed, but they were so limited with information. I mean, you read one single article on their website, and then that was it. You went looking for other websites. So I was trying to help out and do my part in promoting Canadian wrestling. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't just Canadian wrestling, but Canadian independent wrestling, Ontario independent wrestling, and then MMA and this and that as well. FTCWF.ca was eventually the website. Basically shut that down, I think 2007, 2008 ish, and then all of a sudden 2009 comes about, and all of a sudden it was January 2009, and we create CWN, which back in the day was CWN Canadian Wrestling Network. So that was the thing back in the day. Sean was part of that. I was part of that, and then the guy named Ed Simon was part of that as well. So that's a little bit of history as far as CWN goes. And then all of a sudden, I was doing well with it, and I was going from website to website as far as I think I started on Free Hostia, and then from Free Hostia I went to Weebly and then Wix, and then I think that might have been it. I started doing the social media thing, and I think I had 1,000 people up on Facebook, and the group still exists. It's just the page still exists. Sorry, it's not. I don't do a lot of heavy stuff on it, but you can see a lot of the members are still left. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of I was like, well, CWN, maybe I should take a break. Ended up doing the Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter didn't become what I wanted it to become, so basically I went back to CWN, and I'm more than happy to be doing it again. But you can check out, like I said, check that out, cwnonline.ca, and that is news and results and anything that has to do with Canadian independent wrestling, Ontario independent wrestling. You'll see our shows go from here over to there, as well as to audio and Anchor and Spotify, SoundCloud, all that sort of stuff. But like I said, that is the best way to get in touch with me is at my personal website, and that is cwnonline.ca. From there, we go into the official website of this group, this group, I'm thinking about group right now, of this podcast, so ThursdayNightThrowdown.ca. You'll see all the past shows on there, any kind of news that we provide. You'll see host bios as well, so Sean's bio, myself, Steven's bio is up there as well. What type of music we like, what type of TV shows we watch, what type of podcasts that we listen to, what sports teams that we like, even though we may not agree with them. Steven's a Blue Jays fan, Sean's a Tigers fan, I'm a friggin' Red Sox fan, born and bred, so you can get a little bit more info about us, who some of our favorite wrestlers are, past and present, this and that. So like I said, ThursdayNightThrowdown.ca, you can check that out. And one of the last little bit of plugging I'm going to do is this. So Steven's Wrestling Journey. So hashtag Steven's Wrestling Journey. If you look in the back behind me, behind the microphone there, you will see the Scumbags poster. I'm rocking the SummerSlam shirt because I'm getting excited for the month of August and SummerSlam coming up. But sometimes during the show, you'll see me wearing the Scumbags of Wrestling t-shirt that Sean had produced. That, like I said, behind me is the poster. The poster is pretty damn cool. It's 11 by 17. You can pick that up for $15, I believe. And then the shirt, I think it's $30. The cool thing about it is Sean takes the proceeds from the sales and basically donates them on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. So like I said, hashtag Steven's Wrestling Journey donates the sales to the Toronto Sick Kids Hospital. So he takes in no profit at all. It was just something that he wanted to do to give back. So like I said, check that out. And again, Sean's official group, I'm going to put this up once again, facebook.com/groups/Scumbags of Wrestling. You can also hit him up at scumbagsofwrestling@gmail.com and give him let him know that you want a t-shirt, let him know that you want a poster, and Sean will make it happen. Whether or not he sends it out in the mail, whether or not you're close distance, he'll be able to deliver it to you. But like I said, it's a very cool project that Sean had done, to make things better for Steven and to help out the sick kids over there in Toronto. So like I said, hashtag Steven's wrestling journey. So guys, last thing I want to mention is this. So behind me as well, every week I've got new little things behind me here. But the one thing that you'll notice is I usually have one of two books up in behind me. Number one is the Greg Oliver book that I had him sign last year. The other one is the Rowdy Roddy Piper book. And the reason I have the Greg Oliver book is because I was a huge fan. I still am a huge fan of Greg Oliver and everything he did with Slam Wrestling. Rowdy Roddy Piper, that book behind me was given to me by a guy named Ed Pylon, who's at Home Depot. He found out I was a wrestling fan and said, "Hey, I've got a book for you." And he shows up one day, he gives me that book. Well, truth of the story is this: I'm a huge Rowdy Roddy Piper fan. Even marked territory, so to speak. Loved his action figure, his LJN figure as a kid. Loved the little, I don't know if it was Hasbro or Mattel that came out with the Jacks, the little plastic, couple inches or whatever the case may be. But I always wanted to get Rowdy Roddy Piper stuff. So the book was amazing. I've got a T-shirt. I bought a Hot Topic, and it says Hot Ronda, and I thought it was Hot Rod. And when I got it home and looked at it, I was like, and it was still Piper colors, and reason that shirt exists is obviously because of Rowdy Roddy Piper. I've got a huge poster that I've still yet to get framed. I think I bought it Sunrise here in London. I think it was on sale for like $10 because they had wrestling posters about a year ago. I was like, holy crap, and they actually had a good one at Piper. So if I ever get it framed, I'll make sure it's backdrop here for me. But guys, the reason I bring it up is because of this. Rowdy Roddy Piper, 5 years ago tomorrow, passed away. So July 31st, 2015. I'm just going to bring this up because it's as bad as the fact that he passed away. When he passed away, it was this: July 31st, 2015. Toombs, which is his real name, died in his sleep at the age of 61 at a summer residence in Hollywood, California. Death certificate cites a cardiopulmonary arrest caused by hypertension, listing a pulmonary embolism. I know I pronounced that wrong. As a contributing factor. TMZ reported this as a heart attack caused by the embolism. Toombs' longtime friend Bruce Pritchard revealed in the podcast that he received a voicemail from Piper the night of his death. In the message, Piper indicated that he had not been feeling well and that he would be going to sleep it off. So again, Rowdy Roddy Piper passed away at the age of 61 in his sleep 5 years ago tomorrow. I still remember it like it was yesterday here in the news. Sad, and I loved Piper. I loved his match, his WrestleMania 3 against adorable Adrian Adonis. I get to see him here live in London, at the London Gardens, so to speak. So, it was unfortunate that he passed away at the early age of 61, but the way he had passed away, in his sleep was good to hear. But anyways, like I said, tomorrow, 5 years ago, Rowdy Roddy Piper would have passed away. So anyways, guys, that is it. This has been episode 29 of TNT Thursday Night Throwdown. I'm just going to basically do a backdrop of Piper just to pay respect. The guy passed away about 5 years ago. The one thing I hate, I shouldn't say hate, but the one thing that's bad about the whole single thing right here is the fact is I can't show pictures in the background. So you'll see the picture of Piper as soon as I kind of sign off here. But guys, it's been interesting. I'll tell you this, I wanted to do a show on my own just to see if I can get through it, how tough it would be. Let's see what I talk about, see what I don't talk about. I love the interaction with Steven and Sean, it's one of those things where scheduling, it doesn't always match up. We found that out as far as Fantasy Warfare tournament goes. But I kind of want to see as well, I want to see whether or not I could do a show, whether or not I can make it last an hour, what I would talk about, what I would say, just in case, they're not available. Steven's got a work life, Sean does as well. Sean's married, so it's one of those things I wanted to see if I could do on video. So again, I gave them the guys the night off just to be able to talk about wrestling and this and that. There wasn't a lot going on. It's just the usual stuff. So, but I think doing a show like this, I think I definitely have to mix it up with an interview. So I wouldn't mind talking about, say, topics for a good 15-20 minutes, so to speak, even half an hour, and then switching things over in an hour show to do like an interview for the second half. So guys, let me know what you think about that. Thick skin. So basically, if the show sucked tonight, let me know it sucked. If you didn't mind it, let me know. If you think the concept of doing half an hour of just chat and then half an hour of an interview on a single show, let me know. That would work as well. But guys, it's enjoyable as always, and like I said, I do this for free. I'm not making any money off of it. It's a passion. I want to see what I can do as far as being a wrestling fan and drawing attention to the Ontario independent wrestling scene or Canadian independent wrestling scene, or rediscover my love for mixed martial arts, MMA, UFC, Bellator, everything else. So guys, it's been great. Like I said, I'm going to throw up a picture of Rowdy Roddy Piper just to pay respect 5 years ago tomorrow, and then you'll see the closing theme. And check us out next week. Haven't decided yet whether or not we're going to do new theme music, but I think I'm going to do new pictures in the intro. But episode 30 next week, so big episode for us coming up next week. So guys, thank you very much. Check out the picture of Piper, and we will see everybody again next week. And check out Fantasy Warfare Tournament next Wednesday, 6 p.m. YouTube. And like I said, it'll be the first bracket of the greatest world tag team, not world tag team champions, but the greatest tag teams in the world. So check that out, guys. It's been great. Chris Maloney signing off here for TNT Thursday Night Throwdown. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see everybody again next week.